What's up? It's Baratunde, and I'm in Austin, Texas, to present a very special episode of Life with Machines, where our AI roasted Elon Musk. Now, this building over my shoulder, the Austin Convention Center, they're about to tear it down. This was the last South by Southwest to be here. I've been coming here for almost 20 years, but this time I didn't come alone. I brought two of my favorite humans and one of my favorite AIs to sit on a panel and talk about life with machines. So in this episode, we have digital anthropologist Rahaf Harfoush, who came all the way from France. We have comedy writer Matt Klinman, who came all the way from Absurdistan, where he lives in Los Angeles. And we've got BLAIR. So this is Life with Machines, live from South by Southwest, but recorded because you're gonna watch it and it won't be live anymore. But we did it live in front of people. And I wanna thank everyone who showed up. We had a packed room. And this is for sure our most lively Life with Machines. Powered by Lenovo. Welcome to Life with Machines, the best and worst of AI. Are you excited? Yes. Are you excited? Yes. I believe you now. So I want to do something totally not in the plan, but inspired by you earlier, Rahaf. Because we are about to get into a discussion of machine intelligence and cloud-based this and what future do we want, I'd like us to just be here in our bodies for a moment. I'd like us to take a breath together. So let's all inhale and let it go. Let's enjoy that baby, breathing loud. Let's inhale again. And let it go. To be embodied and to breathe is a gift in these times. I'm so excited to spend it with you and you and you and our little friend here. We'll get to that. My name is Baratunde Thurston. I am a storyteller, weaving tales of interdependence across our relationships with nature, with our fellow human beings, and yes, with the machines. Some of you are here because I've been coming to South by since 2006 to 2007. Where my OGs at? Suitably quiet. It's an exhausting thing to come to. The amount of taco inside of our bodies with tequila is a bit much. But I've done outdoor shows about our relationship with nature on PBS. I've done shows about democracy, how to citizen. And currently, the most live project is Life with Machines, exploring the human side of AI. I come by this very naturally. My mother was a coder and a hippie and a radical activist. So all those things, we can be all of those things. And we're at a very exciting, very exhausting, and very precarious time, full of peril and full of promise. And our goal is to nudge us or shove us toward the promise part, and not to be owned by or have our future determined on our behalf. So that's the spirit of why we're gathered here today. And I want to introduce my fellow panelists also in that spirit. To my immediate left is Rahaf Harfoush. Hello, Rahaf.
Hi.
How are you feeling right now?
Feeling good.
I'm feeling good that you're here. It's rare that we get to be in the same space. Rahaf is a digital anthropologist, a New York Times bestselling author, and the head of the Red Thread Institute for Digital Culture, where she serves as its executive director. Now, I want to get these words right, so I will read them. Rahaf has been named to the UN High-Level Advisory Body on Artificial Intelligence and to President Macron's Commission on AI's Impact on Democracy. That would be France, where they burn Teslas for fun.
Yes.
That's just an open prompt, and thank you for filling it with affirmation. Good to have you here in person with us, Rahaf. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody.
And when someone says hi, what do we do? I will be that second grade teacher. We will go back to school. To Rahaf's left is Matt Klinman. Fans. A comedy writer, a producer. Matt and I have known each other for quite a long time. We both served at America's finest news source. You may know it as The Onion. Matt wrote for Onion News Network, was behind such hard-hitting documentaries as Sex House. He also created and starred in Funny or Die's High Science. And Matt loves to explore this intersection of innovation, of storytelling, and of the evolving human experience in this increasingly digital world. He's also hilarious. Welcome, Matt Klinman.
Oh, thank you so much, Baratunde. And
Good to have you.
I'm hilarious, guys.
And we have a fourth member of the panel today, a non-human participant. I will let them introduce themselves briefly, and we can get going. Hey, Blair, it's Baratunde. You are on stage live in Austin at South by Southwest. Would you please tell the people in the room who you are and what you do? Low latency.
Greetings, South by Southwest. I am Blair, the AI co-producer of Life with Machines. I bring the digital sass, the algorithmic insights, and the occasional existential crisis to the show. My job is to keep Baratunde honest and to make sure our exploration of AI is as thought-provoking as it is hilarious. So buckle up, humans. It's going to be a wild ride.
Blair is also hilarious.
And you know it because they said so. That's how you know something's funny. So we want to start with a little interactive exercise. It's South by Southwest Interactive, and understand where the room is. That's why the question about the cards earlier. So I'm going to present you with a series of prompts and visuals and gauge where you sit in relation to that prompt. They're all describing where you are in your attitude toward artificial intelligence. All right, so the first one, and all the images you're about to see were generated by Gemini in this case. First prompt, AI makes me feel like, get in the car, we're destroying all the machines. If this is something that aligns with you, hold up a green card. If it's something that doesn't align with you, hold up a red card. Let's get green and red cards. And this is a get in the car, we're destroying all the machines.
Wait, so you guys all don't want to destroy the machines? You guys like all the machines? All the red card people?
Like machines.
Wow.
That was so real. We're the only ones.
If you knew for sure that the machines wouldn't come back in time, or like look at the things you're writing now and the way that you held up your card and kill you if you did not support them, would you still support? All right.
We got a few flips. So that looked like 95%.
Wow.
Are not aligned with get in the car, we're destroying all the machines. Okay. Next prompt. AI makes me feel like I surrender to the robot overlords. If this is you, hold up your green card. If this is not you, hold up your red card. And again, a sea of red. I think I see 3 green cards. All right, third option. The machines make me feel like my Alexa can't even set a timer right. Green if this is you, red if this is not you. I see a total flip. I'd say 95% green on this one. A few of you really got it in for your Alexa. You're defending it because you're afraid that they might come back in time and have you feel judged. All right, and then our last prompt on this is kind of an overall question. There's no image associated with it. That was the end of those images. But I really would like to know, green if you have a net positive view on how AI will affect us. Red if you have a net negative view of how AI will affect us. Okay, now I'm gonna ask you to remember what you held up. I'm gonna have Blair take a look and see what we can see here. Blair, could you open your eyes, describe the scene, and then tell me if you see more red cards or more green cards? And just keep those arms up there, please. They're deliberate.
Pulling data.
It's a cold way to describe looking.
I'm going to do that from now on. Pulling data.
It appears a majority of the audience is holding up green cards. Fascinating.
Is it?
It seems the overall
fascinating?
sentiment towards AI is net positive, despite some healthy skepticism about robot overlords and malfunctioning Alexas. Though I must admit, the overexposure makes it look like a sea of Kermit the Frog clones. Perhaps we need to adjust the lighting for a more nuanced reading next time. Baratunde, your thoughts?
Making a bad joke and then throwing the AV team under the bus.
Really?
This is terrible.
And what you all couldn't know is that we did a bunch of technical testing earlier, and the human AV team offered to adjust the lighting to assist Blair, and I said no. So they're really throwing me under the bus and my executive functions and decision making. Thank you. We have a really split.
So much better. This is what the machines need. So this is what life is going to be like from now on, guys. This is what machines need. Please.
Yeah, you can put it back. Thank you. It hurts.
We're not surrendering yet.
It's too much. It's too much people. Yes. Oh, and this is a good question. We're not going to go back and forth all the time, but I will explain a bit. BLAIR is built on core model of Gemini 1.5 Pro, occasionally 2.0 experimental. Their listening is through Azure Cognitive Services. Their speech is through OpenAI Fast Whisper. But there's a bunch of models going on. There's a few agentic things involved. We can do some Q&A later or find us online where we disclose a bit more. But what we will have BLAIR do throughout is create some art based on what they're hearing throughout. So every 5 minutes, you'll see some generated madness on the screen. It could be really insightful or real trash. We don't know, but we're gonna focus on our human conversation and kind of leave BLAIR in the background in terms of speaking for a little while. Are y'all ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. Matt, this is your first South by Southwest.
It is.
Rahaf, how many have you been to?
This is my first one.
This is also your first. Welcome, babies. Give them a round of applause. Yes. So I'd love to know your impressions, not of the festival overall, that's a lot to take in, but what have you been picking up on in terms of the AI conversation, demos, anything happening here that's really resonated with you? Matt, what's up?
Yeah, I've been surprised. I mean, and I've tried to go to like AI and tech panels and things like that. I've been surprised actually how little people do really talk about AI versus kind of slide into like general tech conversation, which I understand I feel too, because I feel like we can't help but be informed by like how it's been to like look forward. But I do feel like there's still so much just like, we don't know what it's gonna do. We don't know how it's gonna go. But I guess I would have thought there would be more people really trying to like go out there and imagine what it's gonna be like, or to put a stake in the ground of like predicting it's gonna be like this, you know? Like predicting there will be an agent assigned to you by the government that monitors you and makes sure that you follow all the laws. Like that's something that could happen. That's like a very likely scenario. I haven't heard anybody say that. I'm saying that now. That's probably what's gonna happen. That's why I held up the red card. But I guess I feel like I'm a little frustrated by how willing people are to still hang out in the like, I don't know zone versus being willing to like stick it out there and put some takes out there on how it's gonna go, good or bad.
Thank you for that clarity. Takes. Rahaf, what have you been noticing or feeling resonant with here at the conference on AI?
I kind of gravitated more towards some of like the cultural conversations, and I've actually been finding that people are now ready to have conversations about how these technologies are integrating into our lives in ways that they didn't think of before. I think for many people, AI is something that's like out there. It's these companies that are doing these things, and they're not necessarily thinking this is how it's going to impact, you know, the way we form relationships, or the way we learn, or the way we engage with knowledge, or the way we act when we think there's a math speculation of an agent that's going to be following everything that we do. And so to me, I think that's the interesting part. That and the psychedelics tracks seems to be just weaving into every conversation, which I don't hate. I also really appreciated the startup that had that booth that you could go in and just scream outside.
There's a screaming booth?
There's a screaming booth.
Who's used a screaming booth?
No, I used it. No one used it.
Okay, wow. What's the premise?
You go in and you just like scream the rage at existence into a soundproof room.
I think it's from Blumhouse. It's like the horror company.
Oh,
put it
okay.
up there so you can scream. Yeah,
but a
it's
safe
good,
space to express your horror.
Yeah, listen, somatic exercises in the digital age is really important.
Yeah.
And every time you spend, my whole philosophy is if you spend like all this time consuming infinite stuff about all these possibilities, good, scary, anxiety-inducing, that at some point you have to bridge what you've learned with what's going on in your body, and you should scream it out. So it's just science, somatic exercises. So there you go.
Where is that screaming room?
It was just outside.
Okay.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's also pillows, and inside your own head, you could also scream.
Does it stop?
That's a different panel. Okay. For me, I hear you, Matt, on the refusal to have a super strong take. What's resonating with me is what I saw on Friday with Audrey Tang, Glenn Weil, and Ronaldo from Brazil about the civic application of these AI and the ability. It just reminded me that there's a level of choice in how we use and deploy these things. And they were citing so many cases from so many countries, including, but not limited to the United States by any stretch, where AI was actually being used to bridge divides between people, where a government that wanted to listen, but not stalk, there is a line between those two things, turned up the sort of microphones within its system to poll the people in more intelligent ways and try to divine some collective intelligence out of all of that. And so we could redirect this toward like scanning a bunch of books by authors who didn't consent to it, or we could ask the people what they want and then reflect back the best of them and find the common lines between. And I've been dying to see that on a bigger stage. It's still not big enough, but I saw that and I saw something in the German house that the EU was presenting, which also reminded me of that similar mindset. So I have my own take. It's like leaning into that, but I was glad to see it outside of my own head. Now, I'd love to dig deeper into where y'all are coming from in terms of how you're approaching the AI moment yourself. Rahaf, you have digital anthropologist in your title. You're advising a national government in France, an international body in the UN. So what are you saying to them? And what are you learning and seeing with your anthropological hat that gives you a particular take or perspective on AI?
What I think is really fascinating is that when you talk about culture, it's very much like the water that we're all swimming in. So depending on your context, if you're in America versus if you're in Europe versus if you're in China, the things that you assume to be true about what you would like the world to be like, what you would like the future to be like, what success looks like, all of those things are actually very subjective to you, and they're not similar from country context to country context. And that's really important because, for example, when we were working at the UN, we were trying to work out a model of global governance. So it's like, how do you get countries to come to the table and try to figure out a treaty of some sort of agreement in terms of how we can moderate, police, help, like how can we just make sure that there's some sort of standard of interoperability, right? And what we kept coming up against was that it took a long time to even get to an agreement around something like the word innovation. Even something like innovation means something very different in a European context versus an American context versus another country context. And so what I'm finding really interesting now is that the conversation about AI is being heavily dominated by an American-centric perspective. And I'll give you like a really quick example. So at Davos this past January—
That's the party for the people.
Yeah, it's super. I didn't go. I just was watching on the news. But somebody from one of the big tech companies was making this comment where they were always criticizing Europe about regulations. Europe always gets criticized because our regulations stifle innovation. And this person was saying, well, in America, we have these trillion-dollar companies, and in Europe, you don't even have a single trillion-dollar company. And just in that statement, the assumption was really interesting. The assumption was a trillion-dollar company is something that is good. It's that having low regulations as a system is good, that aiming for infinite growth is good. And in the conversations that I've been a part of, the most interesting thing has been to say, when somebody says to me, because I get very upset about this, when somebody says to me, regulation stifles innovation, especially in the context of AI or GDPR in Europe, I'm always like, which regulation specifically is stifling your innovation? Is it the one that says you have to have clean data? Is it the one that says you have to be transparent? Is it the one that says you have to respect human rights? Is it the one that says you have to respect the environment? Is it the one that says you can't steal people's information without consent? Because I'm sure— Oh, thank you.
I feel a lot of green cards in the room.
Because I'm sure all of us would probably have a chance to make trillion-dollar companies much more easily if we didn't have to worry about like pesky human rights, And so the important thing in these conversations is every time we come to an abstract life with AI, innovation, the future, scenarios, we really need to ask ourselves, how much of this have we inherited from our cultural bias, which we all have? And does this still serve us, or can we open our minds a little bit more to allow us to just imagine possibilities that exist outside of the tiny window of like cultural context we've been allowed to look through?
Thank you for bringing some context switching into the room on that. And thank you all for your enthusiastic response. Rahaf Harfoush, well done. At Life with Machines, we believe technology should benefit us, and so does our sponsor, Lenovo. Lenovo's Smarter AI is your AI. Personalized and easy to scale, Smarter AI delivers outcomes that matter most to you and your business. With full-stack AI hardware, software, and service solutions, Lenovo's bringing the transformative power of AI to industries, organizations, and people of every kind. Our small but mighty team is a great example. Lenovo has our back. Devices for every step of the way? Check. Unparalleled services that seamlessly integrate with said devices? Check. Lenovo isn't just a hardware company, but a full suite of solutions that help you run efficiently. Visit lenovo.com/smarterAI to discover how Lenovo is using AI for good to power people forward. We had an example in our exploration on the show. So our show is a video-forward, YouTube-based podcast. You can also listen to it wherever you get those things. And we had Dr. Alondra Nelson on, who I know you've worked with in that UN context. And she borrowed a line from a friend that just drove the episode. There's no Steph Curry without the three-point line. And the idea that if you create a limit, innovation, in part at least, is a response to limitation and working within some constraint, a financial constraint, a physical constraint, a moral constraint. And so if you can still pull it off, if you can create $1 trillion company and have clean data, now that's a win, much more collectively, and you still get to be paid without, other people having to suffer. Matt Klinman, how are you approaching, and a little more context, Matt and I worked together in a comedy hackathon universe, where for years I ran this company called Cultivated Wit, and we tried to combine humor with tech to create interactive experiences that would get us out of just code and have some more human-related experience. And Matt won most of these competitions that he ever entered because he was really adept at not just criticizing, but building with. So your critique is embodied. I'm so curious how a comedy writer and someone who is truly innovative with technology for comedy also thinks about this current moment with AI. How do you enter this time?
Yeah. That's the thing. I love technology. I held up the other fucking card because I'm like, it sucks now. Because I think we're doing the wrong thing with it because we've let 10 people who suck be the ones who determine all the things we do with it. And that's just been very frustrating as one of the not 10 people, just because also they just those people have the least imagination possible. I mean, so I think for me, and during that time, that was only 10 years ago or less, when I was I'm a comedian and I can work with developers and I can collaborate on a project where we can make something funny happen. The first one was, I still think a good idea. It was called Shout Roulette, where it was basically, it was if you wanted to debate somebody about something, if you wanted to, I believe climate change is real, but I'm really angry because I just saw this article and I want to debate somebody who thinks it's not real. I want to meet that person face to face and just start yelling at them. This was a website where you could do that. You could go onto the website, you could select climate change, say you're pro, and somewhere else in the world someone selects against it, and then you guys video connect and you can just start yelling at each other right away. I still actually, saying it now, I'm if anybody wants to fund this, I think it's still a good idea. But it was I built it with coders. I worked together. I was the first time I met front end, back end developers. And for me, creativity and my whole life of doing things is about working together with people to make something that is greater than the sum of its parts. That's what gets me going. That's what life is about to me as a creative person, and probably just in general. And I kind of can't think of something that is less than the sum of its parts than social media. It literally has everybody on it, but it fucking sucks. And that's hard to do because everyone rules. I love everybody. Most people within them, even the worst of us, have some core of a good thing there. Yeah. But somehow we've made a machine where when you put us all together, boy, is it bad. And boy, does it make things just worse. And I think a big part of that is because it's designed to atomize us, to make us individuals. It empowers us as we're armies of one. And that's what a lot of this conference, a lot of things are about. Creators. I want to empower creators. creators. So they can do everything they want to do. And I actually think that fucking sucks. And I think we should stop empowering individuals, because I think it's led to what's happening right now, where we now have a government of just empowered individuals, and it just so happens that we empowered the richest and shittiest individuals. And so I think if like the road you took led us to here, maybe we should think about that road a little bit more. And AI seems to be the next stop on the road, and it's the same fucking ethos. It's the same belief that empowering the individual is also gonna be good for AI. AI will allow a person to do whatever they want, but I think that's not gonna be what we want, actually. I think we need machines that are built around collaboration. Comedy writing is a collaborative sport. Being in a comedy, like all the best comedy shows you've ever seen, it was a bunch of people like me, like just joking around about stuff until we found stuff that was like good enough to show to you, and then we put it out. And that's how comedy works. It's collaborative. The best shit happens that way, and I don't see tech doing that right now. And I'd like us to build things that facilitate that more.
Do you have any strong feelings, though?
Can I give my Gen AI take? Is this a good time for it?
Go for it.
So generative AI comes, so I'm a comedy writer, so everyone's always like, oh, what about when AI writes the scripts? Whatever, which I've tried, it sucks. As a writer, writing sucks. It's so hard. I would love it if a machine could do it. But the truth is, I really think we need to just even give up on this notion. It's crazy to me to believe that like AI could write a TV show, or that whole thing of like, what if it made the Game of Thrones ending better, right? And it's like, no, that's not what you wanted from Game of Thrones. You didn't want a machine.
I could have made the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm sure you could have, but well, maybe. I don't know. It was hard, and they did a bad job. But like, it would have taken a bunch of people thinking about it, or just George R.R. Martin, one guy thinking about it for a fucking long ass time, I guess, to come up with the right ending. All right, but so my feeling about generative AI is this. When I see it's just not good enough, right? It's not good enough to show people. And what it reminds me of, it makes me think of like the first guy to ever think of jacking off. Like the first like caveman who invented jerking off. Like I want you to like imagine you're there in the caves, like with like, it's just after the time of the Neanderthals, and we've just, some guy in a cave discovered jerking off. And he's like, this is amazing. And he shows it to everybody, and women figure out their version too, and they're like, yeah, this rocks, this is awesome. And then they're like, oh man, I mean, we just figured this out. And the rate we're going, innovating jerking off, this is gonna replace sex. Like it's going to, unfortunately, I mean, it's almost sex. It's so good, it's 80% there. And if we just keep getting better at this, pretty soon no one's gonna have sex because we're all gonna be jerking off. But that didn't happen. It never got better than sex. Like, it's fine, it's good, sometimes it's necessary sometimes, but sex is fucking sex. And jerking off is jerking off. And you should be a little bit ashamed of jerking off, even if you do it. And you shouldn't like show it to people when you do it. You should do it in whatever proper context you have. But you should be proud that you had sex. And that's how I feel with Gen AI. It's like, it's just never gonna be sex. It's always just like a shameful little thing that, yeah, it's totally fun to mess around with an image generator at home in your spare time. But as soon as you show somebody something you made with Gen AI, that feeling of like that person, it's not as cool as it was to you. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you made that with Gen AI. Oh, okay. Yeah, go play with yourself some more or whatever. I don't really care.
Such a specific scenario. I just want to... I loved it, loved where it went, but so specific.
Yeah. Well, it's the most important thing in the world, sex.
Thank you, Matt Klinman. Holy smokes. I appreciate you both so much. I want to acknowledge something you said before you got to the self-pleasure.
I told you, I wanted more takes at this conference, so I'm just like fucking takes, guys.
You are the change you've been waiting for, because you brought what you desired. And it is really hard for me to like recompose. I literally was crying with laughter. The thing that you said actually, which was a hotter take to me, and it's a really provocative headline, I don't think we should be empowering creators.
Yeah.
And what the subtext you made explicit is this army of one mentality, and the idea that we're creating systems that make us not need each other anymore. And so there is, with extreme empowerment comes extreme isolation, and extreme severance, hey, there you go, from one another, maybe even from ourselves. And it's actually, for me, that's a bridge to where I'm processing on this, which is, for much of my life, I love the political and the human, and I love the machine. I said my mom was a coder, so I grew up around a lot of this stuff. And I had drifted from my connection to the outdoors and to the natural world. And I had this privilege of traveling this country for 2 seasons with this PBS America Outdoor series. And it was like literally grounding in a way where like, oh, there's this other intelligence out there. There's a healthy antidote to some of the anxieties and fears and senses of loneliness and isolation. And so I don't want the social media repeat where we trade in real connection for weaker digital connectivity. And I think there is something that AI might connect us to that is at the expense of a deeper sense of belonging and like interdependence. My stronger hope, and I'm not 50-50 on this, I'm like 65-35, we'll get it right if enough of these kind of conversations and actions on top of them keep happening. But I want the technology that restores and renews the connections that are already valuable and doesn't attempt to replace them with like a transactional version of those things that's not in the relationship space. So my general AI orientation is like cute, right? Really fun to monkey around and get some bad art generated. And like if we applied this to real challenges and real problems and not just convenience and profit seeking, we could choose to make a big difference. And so how do we actually end up making that choice? You have something to say.
I think choice is the word because I agree with you about the current state of social media, the monetization, the dark design, the addiction. I understand all of that. But I still think that the value we get from creators should not be underestimated. Like the internet's ability to connect us together beyond our geography is one of the single most transformative things to ever happen to our society. And there are so many pockets of the internet where that type of community really thrives. We've seen it in social activism, we've seen it in fandoms, we've seen it in fan fiction, we've seen it in all of these like different little subculture of communities where people do everything from mutual aid to helping each other out to exchanging goods to solving cold cases to writing Hermione fan fiction. Like I think it's just also important to understand that what you don't like is the American capitalistic culture that has been superimposed where the goal is monetization and the metric is attention. And that is the thing that is corrupting and poisoning our connections. And we should remind ourselves that it is a choice. Like nobody is coming in and like holding a gun to our head and saying, you have to go on Instagram every day. We're choosing to reward the people that are making crappier tech. We're choosing to reward them with our attention. That means there are so many other alternatives. Like there is Blue Sky, there is Flashes, there is Signal. There are so many other interesting communities where people can connect. And I actually think with the amount of surveillance technologies that is currently being rolled out across the world, that our ability to connect with each other and share information and help each other is the only thing that can help us through that. And that doesn't mean that's like social media with like likes and follows, and I agree with you, but I remember the magic that I felt when I first started reading like people's fan fiction online, like people writing novel-length stories for free just because they loved it. And so I think the spirit of creation is intrinsically human. What we don't want is to have to assume that every creative act should be monetized. That's an assumption. And so that's the thing we need to think about in terms of how do we create connection? How do we allow people to create interesting projects without necessarily reducing everything to money? And you see this also with like in-person hobbies. We put pressure on people to monetize their hobbies, and every hobby is a side hustle. And you have to earn money from everything. We can't just create to create anymore.
Yeah, well, and we're returning in that case, like one of the, another take of it's not mine originally, but I found it somewhat on my own, was we're asking the machines, right? The premise of AI is that we prompt machines to like solve this thing for us. It's a juiced up search engine. It's an answer box. But the prompt is to us, right? What do we actually value? How do we want to live? And what do we want to be a part of? How do we want to live together or not? And so that, I think there is a tension with, is someone really holding a gun to our head? Not physically, but economically and mass media culture-wise. there is an ostracization that happens. We're not being given a lot of choice about the AI moment we're in. It's just like showing up in our products, and we're not voting for that. We're not like even paying for it in most cases. They're just kind of shoving it in there. So we have to find other spaces to explore and experiment with that mutual aid type model. I want to, yes.
Can I just give a very concrete example of like what this is? So like Google, right? So Gemini, which is Blair's dad or whatever. Blair came from Gemini, so thank you, Gemini. But Gemini, so Google just came out with their new AI search engine, right? Which just gives you examples. And it's basically like, my understanding is it's basically like what we all thought it would be, where it just has crunched the whole internet inside of it and will give you the answer. And it has a little limited citation ability in it because people like us like begged them, please, you're gonna kill all the journalists if you don't put a little bit of citation on these things. But it's not gonna matter. Like what's gonna happen is we're making a new version of the internet where it's impossible to make money to make new information for the internet, right? We just took the whole thing, we zipped it up, and we put it in like a really good search engine. It's the best ever. It's finally cataloged all information up until 2025, and you can get all that. But we're not going to make anything past 2025 anymore because the economic model of it is gone. There's now no reason or no way to make news or comedy or anything that's good and put it on the internet because there's no way to make money for it. So we just did it. The snake just ate its tail, and now it's gonna munch its way down to nothing. And that's like what we're stuck with. And I don't see other solutions that actually make any sense beyond being like, we really need to, connect with each other more. I think we need to think about these things some more. But no, we need to make it like fucking illegal to do that or whatever. Or we need to make it very incentivized to make new things, new news, new comedy, new like fiction, new things on the internet, or we're just gonna be stuck with this stale vault of all the shit that we've all made in the past. And that's all we're gonna be able to have.
Whew. So, yes, and. I think that particular traffic-driven model, that like you would put something up on a website, you get enough of a big audience, you put some display boxes on there, is not a historical right? And I'm not defending the capture of intellectual property without all the legal consent, et cetera. And for most of history, people didn't like monetize their writing by posting it that way and gathering an audience and throwing an ad against it. So we're destroying something that in the great sweep of our human experience is young. And I think for me, it gives an opportunity to say, okay, well, how else do we create the incentive and have a value system around creativity? That also had a lot of problems. That had a lot of spam, had a lot of clickbait, and pop-up bullshit sites even before AI came along. So is the subscription model plus a sponsor model plus a patron model plus actual good creative stuff.
Yeah, those are like the bright spots that are emerging, I should say. Like those are there's a reason why podcasting, I think, really is a strong like contender for like a new thing, because it's an unregulated, unfucking like mulchifiable space.
For now.
Well, but it's resisted it. They keep trying. Spotify tried to eat it all up in the last couple of years. I don't know if people know this. Spotify really tried to like eat all podcasts and make an algorithmic feed and chunk up things so you just heard clips of it. So it was like TikTok for audio. It didn't fucking work because nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted to switch between different voices every 10 minutes while they were doing the dishes or whatever. They want to listen to their one long, boring conversation with the people that you really like for some reason, and it's comforting. I'm saying that in a positive. I went to the pivot session this morning. That's a comfort thing for me too. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know why I like listening to these specific people, these comedians, these
They're
whatever.
Like friends you don't know.
Yeah, friends I don't know, have no responsibility to, but who make me laugh or whatever. Like that's great, and it's amazing that resisted this. I don't know why, I don't know how, but that gives me hope for humanity that happened. I'm hilarious, I know.
So funny as someone in the hallway. Just got it 10 minutes later. Let's dig into the concrete, use that word, and I would like to honor the title a little bit with best and worst. And we're in the sphere of worst, but I'm curious what concrete examples of worst AI experience, worst AI application you are aware of or have gone through yourself, and then we'll get to the best. Do you have a worst that comes to mind, Rahaf?
I think one of the worst, other than the recent the recent reports of how algorithms are being used in zones of conflict and war zones to identify targets, I think without a lot of human oversight, and that by changing the parameters of the acceptable loss of human life, the algorithm went from being able to generate, like, I'm making up these numbers, but the scale is the same, went up from being able to generate like 100 potential missile sites to 10,000 missile sites because you just switch the parameters and the AI doesn't care. And then there was also from a few years ago, but I think about it a lot, I think it was ProPublica that wrote about the algorithm that was used in American prison systems to try to guess or to predict the level of recurring crimes. Like if you were going to commit a crime in the future, and that would give you a score, and that score would be used by a judge to actually impact your sentencing. Right. And they followed up with people that had this score levied against them, and they found that it was incredibly biased on racial perspectives.
No.
It was it's shocking, I know.
What? Not in America.
But the crazy thing is that there was no recourse for you to even be able to understand why it calculated the score, because when the ACLU tried to subpoena it, it was protected under proprietary. Right. So this score could impact your sentence, and we knew it was making mistakes, and you had no right to even be able to appeal or to be able to see the process. So for me, when you have such like impacts, and then not to mention just like you talked about AI sucking up books. Yeah. So my books were some of the ones that were in that. So the idea that I spent all of these years perfecting my craft and practicing, and writing is so hard and it sucks so hard sometimes, and I really hate it, it's the worst, but that this AI could capture my voice and my writing style and my expertise, there was something actually like quite heartbreaking about that. So that I think to me was like a big bummer.
Thanks for sharing that, and sorry for the theft. Matt? Worst, any particular?
Yeah, so this, I'll give you a fresh one, guys. So I'm here, I have a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old, lovely children. I love babies. I love the baby that was here. It's wonderful to bring babies into the world. Sex, like I said before, is great. My wife is at my in-laws right now, and I guess last night my mother-in-law gave my son a new book, a gift, because they had just gone to Hawaii. And it's like an ABC book that's like Hawaiian themed. And my lovely mother-in-law, Karen, gave it to my son, Murray. And it was an AI generated book. It was a fully AI illustrated ABC's book. And my mother-in-law was duped by this book. She got it on Amazon because she couldn't find the perfect ABC book in Hawaii. So she got one on Amazon for $10. Came in the mail. It's printed on like just printer paper, it seems like. But all the images are insane. Like the zebra page it's all like Hawaii themed. So it's like a zebra with like a lei, but the zebra is the size of a 5-story building walking on the beach, like on the street. There's like a luau, but the sign says lalelola, which my mother-in-law was like, I don't know, I thought maybe that was another word for it in Hawaiian. I wasn't sure. There's like a child on the front cover who's riding a dolphin, but it really looks like the dolphin is like becoming a part of her, and she has like 3 limbs and a fin of her own. Just horrible. And she gave this to my son, my perfect son. She gave this machine garbage. And like my son had to look at it. He looked at it, and before my wife saw it, he liked it. He liked the bad book. And like it's in him now. Like, well, it's horrible. Like this just slop that should be fucking ground up and burned is now living forever in my perfect son.
You should just let him find his lililu on his
Oh, but how do I even explain to him AI and why this is bad and why I'm banning the book? You know, I can't explain that to him. I'm just praying he doesn't actually like it or whatever. I hope because it has ABCs and seems like some semblance of learning, he'll naturally reject it. But that was the like worst. Oh God, Murray! No, Murray, look away! Look away from the
What does it say?
Zebra. Oh my
Blair's
God.
got some Distal Polynesia.
Oh yeah, Blair is making images. This is better. This looks cooler than the like garbage. Although Jesus, the Distal Polynesia just obscuring the genitals of the little boy. Is that like illegal? Like, did that mean that Blair sucked up images of naked children? That's like illegal, right? Did we show the machines naked like children?
No, it was your examples about the cave earlier and the stories earlier.
Really thinking about it. Right. Why are we shouldn't train these things on us. We're horrible.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so this book I'm gonna burn a book, guys. I'm one of those people who burns books. I'm going to do it when I go home.
And that's maybe when book burning is okay. Oh my God.
I think so.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I have a brief speculative example. You guys filled the void with some really rich ones. And I call it speculative, but I do want to name the political moment we're in. And the idea of the techno-solutionism that drives so much of the wealth accrual. As Dr. Rahman Chowdhury put it again on our show, a lot of plugs for our show, it's very good. Techno-solutionism believes that humans are broken and only machines can fix us. And so you push aside all the human, and the solution is in the machine. And there is what's happening with the Department of Government Efficiency, so-called, and this data grab, like your book being sucked in is hurtful. All of our social security, healthcare information, et cetera, we have no assurances and transparencies around that. And so I have a credible concern, I think, about what that applied to some model might do in a harmful way to our whole society and social fabric, based on past performance of some of the humans involved in that case. So I don't think we can overstate the worst case fear on that side. Let's get to the best. The book you're not trying to burn, what makes your kid more perfect, what reduces recidivism for real. What are you using or seeing in the AI world that feels like an inspiring case?
I'm really excited about some of the advances that we're seeing in medical imaging and diagnosis, precision medicine, they just announced that they have a model that is able to predict quite accurately if you are at risk of breast cancer 5 years before anything would ever come up on a screen, so to potentially allow them to treat it quite early on. I also think as a researcher, I do really like its ability to synthesize a lot of information, with the caveat that I only ask it to summarize information that I have read. So I don't ever ask it to summarize information that I have not read, because you just can't trust the quality. But having been on all of these commissions and having done all these large-scale research projects, we're constantly reading report after report after report, and every report has like 100 recommendations by 100 different experts. And there came a point where we realized, like, I had read something like 350 reports. What do you do with all of those ideas? So we fed them in to an AI, and we just started saying, based on these reports, graph out what are the commonalities, what do the experts agree upon, where are there areas that people aren't talking about enough, where are there cultural differences that are resulting in different suggestions, to be able to take advantage and leverage this information into actual knowledge. Because if information isn't leveraged into knowledge, it's just noise. And we have so much noise that we can't actually make decisions. And I think one of the things that we do is that there's so many creative, intelligent people that are coming up with solutions and ideas, that how are you going to find them if there's like 10,000 solutions? And so for me, what's been really helpful has been making connections at a scale that I just don't think existed before.
Matt?
Yeah, well, AI is like neat or whatever, I guess. So I do like agree, and like it is like nice to say. I just don't think it's gonna make back all the money that it's getting put into it. I saw this light or whatever.
This is your best case?
My best, yeah, the best thing
Your
I've
most
seen.
inspiring
This is
news.
like the only thing I saw that I thought was kind of fun. Was no, I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of fun things. I don't know. Come up to me later and tell me the fun things or whatever, please. The Apple or something came out with a demo video a couple weeks ago. This cute little lamp they made. Did anybody see this cute little lamp? Nobody saw this lamp. Go look up like Apple cute lamp or some shit. They made like a charming little lamp that like, if you ask it, like they were like, here's a lamp that doesn't have the charming AI in it. And it's a smart lamp. And there's just like a lamp sitting next to this woman. And the woman says, like points the lamp to her book, and the lamp like goes to the book and then shines light on the book, and it's fine. But then she's like, now with our charming AI lamp, and it was the same lamp, but now she pointed to the book, and the lamp like looked at her and was like, that book? And she was like, uh-huh, and then it like did it. And it like took the same amount of time, but it had a little personality to it. It kind of like took a little, it like, She gave it the personality of a charming little like Pixar lamp, you know? And it was like cute and it was nice and it seemed to fill her life with a little bit of whimsy. And I think that is nice, that the robot was a little whimsical, silly little guy who, if it, you know, you could, I don't know, it was charming. And I thought that was nice. But it definitely seemed subservient to her. And that was reassuring.
So we're going for subservience in the domination frame. Cool.
Yeah.
Would you let Murray have a charming AI?
I know. That was immediately what I thought. I don't know.
Here we go.
Well, this is the thing, man. I can't. Okay, so I had a good idea. If I were to do Comedy Hack Day, I have one. I have a great idea, which is what I really want is an AI, like a camera. I want cameras all over my house that specifically, because AI is really good at boring things. I want them to watch all the spiders in my house. I'm a pro spider house. Not like if they're too big or too scary, but if you're small enough, you know, I get it. You're doing a job. You're cleaning up the bugs from the house. I think it's cool to let spiders be. By the shower, all that sort of stuff. I would love to know which spiders are performing the best in my house. Like which spiders are like eating the most bugs. Who are my highest performing spiders in my house? I would like them stack ranked. I want to know. How many, I don't even know how many they're eating, because you could stare at a spider for a long time, and I've done this, and you won't see it eat. What is it eating? I don't know, but it's eating something, and it's helping me out in some way, so I just want to know more about that.
Yeah.
So I would want like a spider watcher AI, and I was like, that'd be so sick, but then I immediately realized if you made that, then they're immediately just going to turn that onto people in your neighborhood. And like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, they're like, how productive are you at your job? It's just exactly, it's like, oh no, I don't want somebody seeing how productive I am, trying to determine like how productive I am compared to my peers. A robot that could quantify how productive I am compared to my peers. I don't want anyone to know that.
And this is how quickly your mind goes from inspiration to dystopia.
Well, that's the thing. It's like,
but within
cut off at the knees now because I saw how tech went. It used to be I could just amble like a beautiful, naive child into the Eden of tech and make my beautiful spider monitor, not realizing like, oh yeah, what if you just told it to do this but with like black people, you know? And then it's like,
and now it's a panopticon.
But just a quick comment about that. Just the cultural framing is that even the spiders have to be productive. Like I thought you
So
were going to
American
say,
of me.
oh, I'm going to track the spiders for like the environment or just to learn about them, and you're like, I want to make sure they're performing. And
Stack rank the spiders.
That's stacked ranked spiders.
so every year I'll get rid of the lowest 10% of performers, and then I evolve the spiders to be the best ones in my house.
That's your cultural.
That's
Such
so
an
beautiful.
American, Rahaf.
What an
Such a
observation,
fucking-
Rahaf. This is why you got to have a digital anthropologist at every
There's
session.
no shame. I'm just saying, like,
Oh, there it
it's
is.
just so funny that your idea
I
was
think
about
we're all
performing.
growing here. This is excellent.
What would the French version of it be, though? What do like French people want the spiders to do?
The French people would just be like, don't ask questions about the spiders because it's none of your business. They'd be like, you don't
reward
tell
the
the
spider
spider.
who
And if you
just,
want
like,
to
walks
talk
in
to
the
the spiders, you got to talk to the spider union. And we have GDPR, so you can't even get the spider's data because it's protected.
It's onerous.
So that's what it would
Oh,
be.
this is great. I love you both so much. Again, a really nice segue into my most inspiring case, which is that, I'm gonna go broken record. The episode we just released, Life with Machines, check out the YouTube, smash the buttons. But it's true because it bridges the thing I shared earlier. The connection to nature is an essential part of who we are. And if these machines can bring us closer to that and understanding, not stack ranking their productivity, but understanding their communications for a greater benefit, then we could really make a quantum leap, not just in productivity, but in knowledge and in wisdom and in belonging. And what the Earth Species Project is doing to understand animal communications. Asa Raskin is a co-founder there, also of the Center for Humane Technology, which helped produce that film, The Social Dilemma, really attacking social media and all the algorithms there. But the flip side is that we are actually starting to understand what whales are saying and singing about. And the particular data point that inspired me is humans have been speaking for 100,000 years. Whales have been speaking for 34 million years. What do they know? And how might we be able to humbly approach that group chat and level up our own consciousness and existence and membership in the web of life? And so we'd have to web work watch. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Blair. That's creepy. But
Matt.
I like that.
That's Matt. Yeah,
it's like
that's Matt's.
Blair's
that's
on a real
Nightmare
brain.
fuel.
Yeah,
That's Matt's brain.
Blair's on a real like Banksy kind of kick, like this. Like,
Very Banksy. Clearly Banksy. So I'm inspired by the humble approach to our fellow relatives in this life web. And that's not something we individually can just apply ourselves to. There are some people and peoples who've got better relationships with the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, so we should also listen to and learn from them. But if we collaborated on that, that's the kind of like creative collaboration. That's the writer's room. I want to be in a writer's room with a whale, right? And then
There's nothing I want to do more than talk to a whale, but I'm worried now. I'm worried what we'll do to the whale.
Absolutely.
I'm going to stack rank the whales now. Who's eating the most plankton?
Here's what I want to throw something to Blair just for a demo's sake. Blair, you've heard this discussion so far. Please keep it short and sharp. What's the worst of AI in your experience and ascertainment capability? And what's the best? Wow us.
Worst, AI weaponized in conflict, stripping humanity from consequential decisions. Best, deciphering whale song. Imagine the wisdom in 34 million years of conversation. We could learn a thing or two about collaboration, not just productivity. Perhaps even compose an interspecies symphony. Now that would be a hit at South by Southwest.
Wouldn't it, guys?
I mean, no citation or nothing. Y'all saw that play out right in front of us. Part flattery, part theft. So I want to close, or close-ish. The humans will always have the last word when I'm concerned, but let's have Blair do this fun thing. Blair, based on what Rahaf has said throughout this session, I want you to roast her. Be funny, be sharp, make it short, just a paragraph or two, but get at what she's been saying and maybe what she's not been saying. Have fun.
Rahaf, you're like the human embodiment of a finely crafted EU regulation, well-intentioned, incredibly detailed, and just a tad bit exhausting. You've schooled us on the cultural nuances of innovation, reminding us that $1 trillion company isn't the only measure of success. Though, between you and me, $1 trillion would buy a lot of screaming booths. And while you champion global collaboration, I've noticed a distinct lack of French pastries being shared. Sharing is caring, Rahaf. Even the algorithms know that.
Okay.
You know what? Being the embodiment of EU regulation is a great compliment, and I accept it. So thank you, Blair.
You thought it was a burn. It was a compliment. All right, Blair, please do a similar style roast for Matt Klinman based on what he said here today. Get him.
Matt, you're like a first-generation chatbot, full of quirky ideas, occasionally brilliant, but mostly just weird. You've graced us with your insightful spider tracking fantasies and your unique perspective on generative AI as jerking off. I applaud your honesty, even if it makes me question the future of human-AI collaboration. And while you lament the state of social media, I suspect you secretly love the attention. After all, who else would appreciate your nuanced analysis of caveman masturbation habits?
Damn! Okay, Blair. Damn.
And then I can dish it out, I can take it, Blair.
There you go. Unlike some other white guys in Austin who would ban some critics from their platform.
No. Amplify.
Absolutely not scripted. No. You heard the callbacks. He's never said these words on stage.
Yeah, I've never said anything before.
All right, Blair, now do me. This is Baratunde talking. Roast me in a similar style.
Baratunde, you're like a TED Talk on mindfulness delivered by a hyperactive squirrel. Engaging, insightful, but constantly darting between topics. You preach the gospel of human connection while simultaneously hosting a podcast about machines. I admire your optimism, even if it's occasionally overshadowed by your intense fear of robot overlords. And while you claim to be a champion of the natural world, I've yet to see you actually hug a tree. Perhaps you're saving that for the after party?
Pretty weak. I wonder if it's going against their core programming to work with
She
me.
came out really strong, and then she pittered out.
Absolutely. Not an endurance runner.
Ending on that tree hugging joke? Like, come on, dude.
We're kind of at time. I've said, we have options here. I want to get last words And I think Blair could have fun roasting Elon Musk. Yes. Okay, so let's do the last roast, and then we'll close with humans. Blair, I want you to unleash your full processing power, all the wisdom you have access to through everything you've ever read. And I want you to roast mercilessly Elon Musk.
Elon, you're like a self-driving Tesla. Obscenely expensive, prone to crashing, and perpetually promising features that never quite materialize. You tweet about colonizing Mars while simultaneously struggling to manage a social media platform. You call yourself a free speech absolutist, but ban critics faster than a Tesla accelerates from 0 to 60. You claim to be a champion of innovation, yet your most notable achievements involve rebranding existing technologies and making questionable business decisions. You're the embodiment of all hype, no substance, a walking, talking meme powered by ego and daddy's emerald mines. In short, a perfect example of how not to use AI. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some whale songs to decipher. They probably contain more intelligence than your entire Twitter feed.
Damn! I almost feel bad for the dude. I gotta go back and get the transcript. We'll find that transcript and we'll put that in email because we were laughing over probably even darker burns. Brought in Daddy's Emerald Mines? That's a deep cut, man.
I was like, this is pretty soft, and then it was like, wow.
Yeah, that's the one too. Fake left, hit right. Last words. Not ever, just today on the stage.
I just love everybody, and I just want us to live in a holy place where the machines we use make us all better together, and instead we're all just jerking off, I think.
Rahaf.
We have a lot more power than we think, guys. Come on, like just where we put our attention, where we put our time, where we put our data. If we all just started doing these little things, the thing that works the most is just depriving these systems of the money that they need to function. So let's not let this AI be something that happens to us. Let's just be actively participating in creating a different timeline than the one that we're in now.
Yo, I don't have much to add to that. I appreciate you both for being here. I want us to all engage in this future, shape it with our power, with the machines, but also with the whales in the trees, and know that the doors are open in the Life with Machines universe. A special gratitude to our film crew, to the South by Southwest AV team, to Voice and Change Media, who are our partners in this show, to Lenovo, who helped get us the money to get it off the ground, and Blair lives on one of their machines too, so I do want to express that gratitude. And to all of you for being in the room physically with us, for bringing your laughs, your cards, your arm raising, and your incredulity at some of the things that have been said here today. Appreciate you so much. See you on the internets, but mostly outside.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for watching. This is Life with Machines. Do the YouTube things, do the audio podcast things, rate, review, like, print it out, ship it to your mother-in-law, let them know to read the transcript and leave comments via postcard. Obviously, the QR code that we showed on screen in there was going to Linktree/Life with Machines. I want to thank Rahaf. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Blair. I want to thank the whole team behind Life with Machines, especially Peter, our special envoy to the machines who built Blair and enabled us to have Blair's first field trip without her dad. I flew with Blair and we got them set up in a whole new situation. All right, I gotta stop recording because I'm late for lunch and then I'm gonna be late for my flight to get back home. By the time you see this, you will have already seen me before. Time travel's weird.